No Hope. The Baydan Huxley Story by Thomas Quinn. Narrated by John Brooks. 1. Why had I suddenly believed? No soul should be forced to make such a choice, fame and fortune or sanity. But alas, there I was, staring out at the ocean as I had once loved to do as a child, carefully balancing from heel to toe on the railing, contemplating. Sure, it would be cowardly, but is it not the coward who simply lives life as one ought to, as a sheep in this societal farm? Can I not turn to you and call you a coward for rejecting everything you have ever dreamed, settling for what was given? I lived my entire life against all the ideologies of our times. Why shouldn't I part this world in a similar fashion? Before one's time, against the wills of nature and the powers surrounding this universe. It would be my choice, not one of some divine being, not of mothers. Is there a better way to show one's dominance over life? Being very indecisive, I left the decision to fate.
Just show me a sign!
I screamed with fired lungs.
Damn you! Mustn't I die for our sins? What about the millions who have been killed by people claiming your work? Oh yes, fuck the pathetic humans! Let them toil in a limbo called Earth while I go home to my Eden. Fuck you!
Clearly the medication had kicked in. How else could one explain a naked man screaming at the night sky and torrid sea at 4:20 a.m.? Strange vibrations, but I suppose it was common practice within those walls. Surely the Kennedy suite has had its share of crazy nights. If only those walls could talk or write, there would be a book worth reading. The events within those very walls, perhaps even on that very banister. It's truly crazy how one's mind works. There I was, standing one long step to finality. But all I could think about was Prince Edward Island, and how different things used to be. I wanted to return back to that time when I was still young and brimming with potential, when there was bliss from just lying and listening to the mighty crashes of the Atlantic, years before anyone had even heard of Baydan Huxley, when just another student looking for one last blast of summer before another placated year of schooling. Life was simple. And all of a sudden, there I was, sitting in that very same lifeguard's chair with pipe in hand, fighting the pounding of the wind as I tried to pack yet another bowl in some vain attempt at getting even more stoned. For those were the nights, back when consciousness wasn't wanted, simply the mind's thoughts, living within a quest to unlock the secrets to what it was to be man. Sitting there with my best friend of 15 years, laughing at God herself, challenging her to knock our stoned asses off that 30-foot tower, yet completely at peace. We were living in a time of contrasts, left unsure of what was part of the physical or the spiritual, staring off in awe while the heavens rained diamonds across the blackened sky, daring not to blink for the possibility of missing something. What? There was no way of knowing, but still left with a certain electricity, a tinge of the surreal meeting the real.
The great irony of life, it's only during these glimpses of death that we truly feel alive.
Trapped in my mind and unwilling to let go of the memories, there I was, eyes closed, slipping away. The winds were the same. I was instilled with a presence, able to not only remember, but to relive. If only Nigel, the hotel concierge, had given up knocking at my door and had just left me in peace, as I cried out for him to do. Perhaps I could have stayed there in a place of hope, of bliss.
Who the fuck are you? Can't you read the sign on the door? Do not disturb. Must I read it to you?
The fury poured from my very being.
But Mr. Huxley, I was merely checking on you. You see...
Damn it! I told you that's not my name. What right do you have to enter my room? I should have you arrested.
But Mr. Huxley...
Are you fucking slow or just high? That's not my name.
I searched madly for something to throw, but nothing was around. I had left all the liquor bottles in the kitchen. Damn it, I thought. A whiskey bottle would have done that punk some good, enduring the perfect opportunity to teach Nigel some respect. I was left empty-handed. When I looked up again, Nigel was already gone. No doubt, weighing his pathetic paycheck against the hospital bills he was sure to encounter, he stayed in my presence. He knew better than to bother with me. I was just another madman in the Kennedy suite. Alone again, I was left despondent. I knew there was no use in attempting to return to my perch. The moment had passed. The night was giving way to the waking sun, but the beauty of the golden horizon, expanding at first with a mellow glow, growing to an explosion of light, was lost on me. I wasn't in the mood for beauty. I had been on the verge of an epiphany, but instead was left with nothing, completely unfulfilled. I was broken on the edge of bliss, yet I received Nigel. Waking on such a morning often leads to a flurry of confused questions, as the psyche is left trying to contrive a reality out of the fog of last night's madness. Though luckily on this particular morning, there was no time to think. I was late for my meeting with the mystery reporter, who had apparently tracked me down while I was estranged from my former life. Having told no one of my whereabouts, I remained perplexed to whom she might be. A fan? A detective? I couldn't be certain. And yet I accepted her proposal, as if I already knew there was something else in the works. When finally emerging from my suite, the shock of the hotel's subculture of guests and employees was overwhelming. A wave of Hawaiian shirts and scantily clad, oversized women passed by, no doubt in a hurry to hit the beach and soak up some of those UV rays. I wanted to reach out to these people, fools that they were. I felt obliged. If not me, who would?
Damn it, fools. Can't you see you're killing yourselves, baking yourself like a goddamn Christmas ham?
The passerbys paid little attention to me, lost in their own trips, instantly dismissing me as just another drunkard, even if still early on a Sunday morning. Assuming that my meeting was not to happen, I went back to my room to get together whatever possession I had left. I couldn't spend another night within the crazed circus of the resort, and either due to the lack of sleep, or perhaps the drinks from the bar, seamlessly I drifted right back into intoxication. I remember thinking that a simple joint would even me out, still left on edge, maybe even go back to sleep for a few hours. Yes, some good old-fashioned sleep would soothe this beast. However, upon returning to my room, I was shocked. It was clean, spotless. There was no sign of any inhabitancy. Where was my stuff, my clothes, my medicine? It was all gone. I entered the bedroom, and time suddenly stopped. I saw her. She was sitting calmly by the window, staring out at the ocean as if counting every wave that came in, only to once again, as if by her will, watch them return to the sea. She was beautiful. Everything about her seemed perfect. She stood as a sole remnant of natural beauty, free, pure, not even hidden behind the confines of makeup. sitting as a statue, the sun glistening off her hair, blowing gently with the ocean's breeze, as if in unison with each breaking wave. My heart raced and slowed to match hers. The sight of her silenced my internal dialogue. I forgot all about my possessions, as the anger of seconds before drifted into nothingness. It all seemed meaningless.
I could stare like this forever.
She spoke so softly. She was my goddess, sent to remind me of the true beauty hidden behind this life. I knew it. She had to be.
So, Mr. Huxley, do you like the ocean?
Broken from my train of thought, the question caught me off guard.
Sorry.
Do you like the ocean? I love it. The calming sounds, the cool breeze, the nothingness. What do you see when you look out there? For me, it's everything. Life, mystery, consistency, beauty, danger. It's hope.
Hope?
Of course. With each wave, something new is brought to shore. Here, come out with me to the balcony.
Not saying a word, I accompany her to the scene of my self-destruction of only a few hours before. She grabbed hold of my hand and led me towards the railing.
Just listen.
Minutes passed. We once again fell into a synchronized rhythm of breaths. With each one, tasting life. I was left thinking how truly miraculous life can be, how quickly perceptions can change. A mere 10 hours before, I was threatening to jump from that very spot, as the memories of my past and what I had become was enough to justify darkness. But it had all changed. I was in love. I had to be. She was someone unlike all the others.
You are not one who worries about time, are you, Mr. Huxley?
Please don't call me that. That's not my name. Stephen, please.
You are a unique man. I always knew you wouldn't be like all the rest, but I suppose I wasn't sure what to expect. You know, I've been waiting for you. I was beginning to question if we would ever get to meet like this. I thought perhaps you had already returned, though I must agree this is much better scenery.
Finally, the realization struck me. The reporter.
You're my interview.
The shock in my voice must have perplexed her.
Who did you think I was? Do you often have women waiting for you in your hotel rooms?
No, I don't. I suppose it never crossed my mind why you were here. You just seemed to fit.
I spoke hesitantly, too insecure to tell her about my thoughts for being a goddess, but still held her hand tight, fearing that the world's laws might not apply, half expecting her to be taken aloft with the next warm breeze off the Mediterranean.
You know, I'm a big fan of yours. I truly am. I am proud of you.
For the first time, she turned to face me, her eyes the purest blue, as if reflecting the heart of the sea, and with each second, they bore the essence of her soul. She was younger than I was, yet her eyes told a story that I would probably never understand, not fully. Behind her beauty, there was trauma. There was a reason to why she had come.
So, Stephen, do you always leave your room in such a mess? It took me 20 minutes to clean it up.
I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting anyone. I thought I would be alone. Sorry, but I never caught your name.
Andrea.
Andrea is my favorite name. If I ever had a daughter, that was to be her name.
Do you have any children?
A son.
That's nice. Where is he now?
Dead.
Andrea's eyes suddenly lost all life. She too had lost someone. She took my hand into both of hers.
I am so sorry. I didn't mean to bring that up.
I wanted to kiss her right then, and I'm pretty sure she would have allowed it, but felt as if it wouldn't have been right. Instead, we stayed out on the balcony for hours, mostly in silence. listening to the distant cries of the children playing in the surf, waiting until the sun sank with another one of my days before we finally went back inside. We had barely talked, but I felt I knew Andrea better than anyone I had ever met, a connection that was surreal. It was as the cliché would have it, love at first sight.
You know, Stephen, I am going to have to go.
Her certainty was a shock to my system. Of course I knew this, but the reality of the situation was overwhelming. My emotional connection was something that I knew I couldn't let go of, not without a fight.
Why?
Because
She paused for one last deep inhale of the sea's breeze.
life is full of cycles. This one is just beginning. You must have patience. It will come full circle.
But what about your interview?
She may not have felt as I did, but surely such an excuse would allow for another meeting.
Won't your boss be upset with you? Why else have you come all this way?
My boss.
Her words evaporated into a silent laugh.
I came all this way to see you. I have done that. Now I must return.
What? I don't know what it is, but
Even when dealing with perhaps my truest of loves, I was still unable to express my purest of emotions.
But what?
all right, I'll go back with you. I can't handle another night in this place anyways.
What are you saying?
I can't stay here. Another night here and I'll be eternally sleeping. It's time that I return to the real world as it said anyways. Honestly, I'm not ready to let you go yet.
Well, I'm sorry, Stephen, but I'm not yours to let go. You can't come with me now.
Suddenly it struck me. I had spent the entire time thinking of myself. Never had I taken the chance to think that maybe she was feeling differently. And of course she was. Who was I? An imposter. I was probably 10 years her elder, clinging to my degrading appearance and my Class C celebrity status. Nothing would have been further from the truth. She was, as she said, a fan, not a soulmate. She wasn't my goddess. There was still no father looking out for me. But why had I suddenly believed?
I understand.
My eyes dropped.
Andrea, it was nice to meet you. Have a safe trip home.
And as a broken animal, I turned to walk back to the balcony with my tail between my legs. I didn't dare to watch her leave. I had turned my back on love, and I couldn't bear the thought of having to do that again. Instead, I went to the railing of my balcony, as once again the night brought with her my demise. The weather decided to add dramatic effect to my loss, brewing a storm that shook the heavens. But I still couldn't return to my room. There would be no one sitting by the window waiting for me. I took stance against the wrath of nature, standing in place on the balcony, praying to catch pneumonia, stripping naked, allowing her hand to wash away the anguish of my past, soothing my aches in a holistic cleansing of the body and soul as lightning split the sky. Yet I was unable to let go of my thoughts of outrage. How could I have allowed her to simply walk out of my life? I had left my old world behind in a quest for self-improvement and discovery, or so I continued to tell myself. But hadn't I found that? I couldn't consider myself the same person as the man of constant sorrow from 3 years prior. No, I understood that it wasn't me, it was the world. It was the universe. I was trapped within my own creation. My greed, my lust, all that I despised of myself was forced upon me. It was associated with Huxley, not me. It's him that I loathed. Everything that I had become was because of him. Tears. They flowed uncontrollably, mixing with the rain. My first tears in 25 years, soaking to the bone, as the amassed bullshit of a lifetime began to wash away. His 25 years of built-up emotions suddenly unleashed with a tidal wave of conformity, drowning me within my own revelation. Yet I was still unable to come to grips with the question of who I had become.
How long ago was it when I said goodbye to hope?
I laid there bathing in my own emotions, stripped of everything, for the first time in ages, listening to myself. No longer could I be bothered by the questions of cynicism trapped within my past, but rather I returned to Andrea's parting words. Was this just another beginning? When the clouds broke, and again I could lose myself amongst the lonely stars, a realization came over me. I knew what I was to do. I had hidden long enough. It was time for my return.